We have to create the right vibe, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Purely Arsenal FP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to another edition of a Purely Arsenal podcast. It's been a tough week for Arsenal. It's 2 losses. Hope we're never saying that again. I'm not saying 1 losses again, but we are here to discuss it. Win, lose or draw, I'm trying to do my best this season, and to pain it with me, go through all the pain, I've got Neil Shah with me. How you doing, Neil?
Been better with that after that horrible few days, but it is what it is, and let's try and make sense of it, Jack.
Yeah, ruins your mood, doesn't it? And it doesn't matter how old you are either. It doesn't matter how old you are. I am, a 36-year-old man whose mood is largely governed by whether Arsenal win, lose or draw. And I think we said that before. And I think it's worse with age, actually. I think it's a little bit worse because you're almost, more invested, or it might be just to do with knowing that we've got something good going on and things like that. It's definitely harder when you're good. It's harder when you're good, isn't it? When you're going through those seasons of 6th, 7th and 8th position, you kind of just go on to the next one and brush it off maybe a little bit more. But this was a tough one to take for many reasons. Travesty on Tyneside is what we're calling the podcast, and it was a travesty. It really was. I don't think we can talk about the football before we talk about the decisions, which obviously are part of the football, but unfortunately the refs and VAR took the limelight once again, as they love to do, especially in games of ours. And we've had a few this season, Neil, but this one obviously means more because it actually, we didn't get anything out of the game. The others meant just as much, but feels like the referees aren't willing to sort of acknowledge anything with us unless, you've lost points and actually been costly to you. So, but we've had a few really terrible ones in recent weeks just because we've got decent results here and there. I think it's sort of papered over it a little bit, but this one is quite incredible. So I think we've got to start with a goal. Obviously we lost 1-0 at Newcastle. The goal, Neil, there's probably 4 possible incidents within the goal. And to be fair, I don't remember a goal like this, to be honest, where there's so many incidents. And as soon as I saw that there's that many incidents, and it felt just so obvious it would not be given, I immediately texted my brother and I went, they'll give this because they won't be able to decide what to do with all these decisions, and they'll just give it for the sake of giving it. And I actually think when you see the explanation from VAR, there's some quotes that have come out, I don't know how real they are, of their explanation for each one. That is basically what they did. They basically came out and said, we couldn't prove it, so we just gave it, which is quite incredible because that just leaves the whole can of worms open. It's a terrible spot to be in, and it's really bad. But go through each decision for me, and then let's have a discussion about it. Obviously, you're terribly frustrated. We'll get your views on the overall game, but go through that moment for me and the decisions.
Jack, I don't think I've been this livid for a long time. I mean, normally you go through a game like this and it hurts for a while, 12 hours, 24 hours, but I can't seem to brush this one off. It's just the manner of it was just unbelievable. Can I just say before we kick off, I do want to say we probably didn't deserve to win. Well, we didn't deserve to win, not probably. We did not deserve to win, but we certainly didn't deserve to lose. And it's just that hurts more than anything. Footballing wise, we didn't really do anything much, I don't think, in that game, and that is something which is a massive point of concern. I just don't think we have kicked off anywhere near what we were doing last season. I really don't. And it's that adage of why is he trying to fix something that was never really broken in the first place? Yes, there was a couple of tweaks needed, but I think he's gone too far with it and overthinking everything. So I just wanted to just get that off the bat. So sorry to say that, but we didn't deserve to win, but we did not deserve to lose. And we didn't deserve to lose, and we did because of something which is, as you said, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. We have been at the brunt of so many bad calls that I've got to the point where I'm almost at the bored point of saying there is some corruption is quite a harsh word, but there is something not right with all of this. And it does seem to be Arsenal that gets the brunt of it and falls foul to the brunt of this thing. Now look at this goal, or whatever you want to call it. Look, we did many things wrong. Gabriel should have cleared the ball well before. Raya again caught off position, very much similar to the one where Mudryk scored that goal against us, if you remember. Just flapped about. It didn't look confident at all to me. But having said that, we don't deserve this. You look at the goal. I think there was was it Rashford? Was it in Rashford? Rashford at Man U, that game with Man U. I don't know who they were playing. The ball. There was a similar incident. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah,
one,
McTominay's where Maguire got called offside, basically. Bit harsh, yeah.
No, but there was one where there was a ball that the same. It looked like it was over the line.
Oh, sorry, against Brighton.
Yeah.
Yes. Immediately given off. Yep.
That's right, and that was given, and that to me looked more in than our one. That's the bizarre thing. So that you've got that consistency issue there, straight away off the bat. I saw that, and in real time, first time seeing it, I thought it was out, but then okay, fine. You think, all right, we'll wait for the replays. When we saw the replay, yes, even taking the curvature into consideration, I still think it's out. There's clear daylight between the edge of the line and the ball. And I'm just thinking, right, that looks out to me. But all right, if it's not given, fair enough. Then you go to the next part, which for me is probably there's 4 points, isn't there, Jack? There's 4 points here of discussion or of contention. The foul is, to me, 2 hands, not 1 hand, 2 hands on Gabriel's back. To me, that just looks like a clear foul. Clear and utter, clear, unadulterated foul. If that had been on anywhere else on the pitch, that would be given as a foul. Who was it? Ben White. He got done for what? Feather touching someone in the penalty box. Feather touching. Remember, we talked about it on the pod. It was the most ridiculous thing. The fact that they went out of their way to even find that, because that wasn't even obvious. If you remember that goal, that wasn't given. It wasn't even obvious. And it was a feather touch. But this one, blatant, 2 hands, jumping up, literally putting weight onto Gabriel, who had no chance whatsoever. Now, people are saying, well, he was sort of bending down anyway. But, yeah, all right, maybe. But the fact that, the player has literally, I think, forced him down, to me, that was probably, out of the 4, the most obvious. Then you've got a potential even handball in that delivery. And on top of that, you've got an offside. Because I think who scored again? What's his name? Gordon. He's in front of Raya.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got 4 things for VAR to mull over. And none of them. And that is after most of the other incidents. I think that's what was most annoying. You had that, but that was after. Potentially they should have been down to 10 men. Yes, there's argument that we should have been down to 10 men, but they certainly should have been down to 10 men. There's no question.
I mean, it's the difference, isn't it? Sorry to interrupt you. There's one could have been, the other should have been. There's the difference there, really, with the rest.
There's a big difference.
And that's true.
So yeah, it was... I think that was it. After that, you just feel we've been done from the start in this game. We've been absolutely done. And I'm sorry to say this, Jack, that I completely back Arteta for coming out. I know there's some people that are saying that maybe he was really at boiling point, pretty much all the fans, and maybe he should have showed some restraint and maybe said something a little bit more calmer, or say something, but maybe thought about it a bit more. Bided his time. But I do you know what? I think because I was in, like probably so many others, like yourself, I was so angry about it all. And I heard him say that, I was going, yes, finally. But I knew straight away he's going to get done for it. I thought he's going to get seriously done for this. But surprisingly enough, well, no, maybe not surprising, I'm glad that the club backed him. The club came out with a statement and completely backed him for it. It was, as he said, disgraceful, disgusting, and embarrassing.
Yeah, and you know what the thing with Arteta is, and this is where the agenda against him really comes very quite obvious, and it's so obvious. I mean, it's the foreign Arsenal thing. He's a disciple of Arsene Wenger. It's so obvious what's going to happen every time this happens. But Arteta is actually maybe less than any manager does he ever complain truly about referees before he looks at his own performance. Like, you might say, but I think the decision was wrong, and then he'll go, but we've got to work on what we're doing. He always looks at it way more than Wenger did. He always looks at it from an internal perspective, right? He rarely wants to blame injuries. He rarely wants to blame referees. But what people have completely forgotten is because, like I said, we haven't dropped that many points this season until this point. We've had some dreadful decisions against us this season. Not one game that caused an uproar and asked for replays and all that sort of stuff. We have had, since the second game of the season or third against Crystal Palace, Tomiyasu's double yellow. You've never seen one as bad as that, I don't think, all season. Going to the Kovacic double, the first one was a red, let alone the second. The Sanchez clothesline just doesn't get talked about, doesn't it? You can't even find a clip of it. If you try to find a clip of it, I mean, you have to rewind the tape. But and then this one, and you're right. I mean, if you go through the four, the last two, I almost feel like aren't worth a discussion point because the foul leads to it. So when we say it comes off his arm, well, it comes off his arms because his arms are junted into someone's back. Of course, it's going to come off his arms. His arms shouldn't be there. No one can attack a ball that way anywhere on the pitch. They just give it as a foul. The old adage from the Northern boys of Neville and Carragher that there's not enough in it, or they think he's already going down. What do they mean he's already going down? He's not trying to win a penalty, Gabriel. He's very aware he's on his own 6-yard box trying to clear the ball. There's no going down about it. He's just going to clear the ball. He's not ducking under the ball. He's not doing any of that. That's a ludicrous statement to come across. It's actually quite concerning, to be honest, that statement. Like you said, that they don't have the technology to prove the ball's in, which is why the Rashford one, as frustrated as Man United fans were with it, didn't get given, because all they could see, they don't have the goal line technology where it's immediate, which is factual, objective. They literally, all they have is the images we have. So whatever Richard Keys and Andy Gray created in their that is not official. That's nothing that VAR has seen. All they have is the images that we have, which shows the ball's out. So then they're just estimating spherical levels of the ball, which is that's where it's not clear and obvious. Do you see what I mean? It's clear and obvious that it's out. It's not clear and obvious that it's in. That's the problem with that one. But really the two after it in terms of the offside, I agree. I think it looks offside, but I couldn't even evaluate those because, as far as I was concerned, the foul was one of the most obvious fouls, other than the ones he wasn't giving against Bruno Guimaraes in the game. So I found that unbelievable. But for some reason, when I saw all the incidents, I said, so immediately on the text to my brother, I said, they'll definitely give this. And he said, no, it can't be a goal. And I said, they'll give it because there's too many decisions for them to evaluate, and they're too stupid to evaluate one, let alone multiple. So they'll definitely give it. They'll go, do you know what, this is too much. We've got to get on with the game here. It's all, they start thinking about speed, which is stupid because they take too long anyway, and they'll restart the game. They don't want to leave those 55,000 hanging. So that is a shocking decision. I mean, when you look at it overall, it's a devastatingly poor decision, which is massively costly for us, and we'll never get anything in return from it. And it will be forgotten. Well, actually, it won't be forgotten because Arteta will probably receive a ban for it. That's what will come out of it. He'll probably certainly receive a fine. I don't know why, he's not said anything wrong, but he'll receive a fine and a ban for it, probably. Or maybe they'll justify them giving a terrible decision by just not punishing him or something like that. They'll help us out or something. But that's it's a really, really terrible decision. But the other ones that you mentioned, obviously there was contentious decisions with Havertz. So what was your thoughts on the Havertz one before we get onto Bruno Guimaraes' multiple fouls? I think we should just talk about the one foul on Havertz, because the second one that there was uproar about, I don't know why he slided in. I think it's stupid on the second one in the second half. Do you remember the second one where he slid in on the ball? But I don't think it's worth talking about even if you don't remember it, because he literally just gets the ball cleanly. He doesn't even touch the player. So it's a ridiculous dive by whoever it was. I think it might have been even Callum Wilson. But the first tackle from Havertz. What's your thoughts on that? Why do you think it was a yellow and not a red?
That one was on. Oh God, I forgot his name now. Who was that on?
Dan Burn. I think it was
That's
Dan
it.
Burn.
No, it wasn't Burn.
Wasn't it Burn?
Oh,
it should have been Burn because he went through Saka about 6 times.
Twice.
So
Twice was clear cut and nothing was given for that either. Yeah, let's not forget that. That's been brushed aside now because of so much other stuff that's gone on. So even that was not even. I remember we were saying in the on the WhatsApp group, what about Burn on Saka? Burn on Saka. It's just.
Well, every player does it, doesn't he? Cucurella, you name them. Every player gets away with it on Saka.
It's sickening. It really is. Anyway, what do I think? It was stupid. It was reckless, but it wasn't. I don't think it was a red. Now, people might think, he's just an Arsenal fan, he's been biased. No, it's not that. I don't like seeing that stuff from our players. I remember years and years ago, as much as I love Robert Pires, he did do some silly things and he did used to dive sometimes. And I used to call it out then. We didn't have Twitter and things in those days. Just used to talk to friends if we were together watching the game or we were in a pub watching the game or whatever it was. And I would say, why is he doing that? I don't like it. It's not good. It's not nice for us. We shouldn't be doing that stuff. Don't do it. I'm not saying it because I'm an Arsenal fan. I do feel that he went in. He was overeager, I think. He's obviously got the pressure that he's got to try and prove himself somehow. It was a physical game. Let's not get away from the fact that Newcastle Arsenal, there's a grudge. There is something. You've got it even between the managers on the touchline, even the assistant managers. There is some needle between the two teams. And I think he's with Havertz because it's probably getting to him now that he's got a lot to prove. He's not doing what we thought he would do, what we wanted him to do. He's come in and I won't talk about the price tag, it's pointless, but he's just not doing it, Jack, for me. And I think he's feeling that pressure now. And I think he's got caught up in a very heated, game, and he's just gone in. And it was wrong of him to do that. It's very dangerous in the sense that it could have led to a serious injury. It could have led to a red card. But actually, when you see it, his feet are in the air. But I think it's a trailing leg, isn't it, that catches him. And it's not horrendous. I've seen worse not even get a yellow, actually. But he got the yellow. And yes, because I think it was right in front of the crowd. It got a lot of attention. It went, it just went mental there. The crowd went mental. The Newcastle players' reaction was awful, I thought. The way they literally, they wanted to go and all just beat I'm sorry to swear, but beat the crap out of him. I thought that was horrendous. And that just, it was another one of those moments. We've had 2 of them against Liverpool, where although we weren't playing great, Jack, I thought we were in relative control of the game, as stupid as that might sound now. And it was those 2 incidences against Liverpool where we were kind of on top, and then something happened to rile. The first one was when Arteta had a go at Klopp, remember? The second one, it wasn't so much Xhaka's fault, but, I can't remember. It was, what was his name? Who did it? Trent, wasn't it? That did something. I think he pushed Xhaka, didn't he, or something? And then Xhaka,
Xhaka squared up to him, yeah.
That's right. And it kind of lifted the crowd and it just changed the dynamic of the game, didn't it? And I thought very much so this one as well, that Newcastle weren't doing much. The crowd was a little bit quiet because I think we were doing enough to keep them quiet, and that just lifted them. But I think the tackle, if you just asked me about that, I don't think it was a red. I think it was stupid. It was reckless, but a yellow was a fair outcome for me. So.
Yeah, I think what really it's definitely it would have been unfair to be a red because he catches him with his fourth with the laces of his foot. He doesn't catch him with his studs, and it's his trailing leg. It's not a good tackle though. I agree. He's lunged in. There's no real need to do it. He's trying to block a long ball from the defender. There's no real need to do it. And whilst I've been largely critical of Havertz in his Arsenal career so far, in this game he definitely was told or aware that you better make sure you live up to the physicality of it, and that's why he was playing. And maybe he just went a little bit overboard there. But in other parts of the game, physically, I thought he handled himself quite well. Actually, it was probably one of his better games. In terms, I still feel on the ball he doesn't do enough. I feel he shies away from it too much. He passes on responsibility too much for me, which some of our players are all guilty of in this game, I think. But him specifically, over the course of his Arsenal career, which is very short so far, I think that's been a big concern. So, but it was a game of very, very few chances. I mean, their XG was 0.16 without the illegal goal, as I'll call it. Ours was 0.6. So we created a little bit more than they did until that moment came up. And from my perspective, you can't eradicate it, but that's not really a moment that should exist because there's so much before it. It's not really a chance to me, but it's a goal somehow. But so yeah, it wasn't. I'm hearing a lot of the, they wanted it more, they created more. There's actually no evidence at all of that. There's no evidence at all, and I don't believe they wanted it more either. I thought it was a good physical battle with very few chances, and I thought, yeah, it was basically a draw game, really. That's what it should have been, really. But that isn't what it was. So, but yeah, on the Havertz one, I think he maybe got away with it a little bit, but I don't think it was a red. It wasn't a red. It was a yellow card all day, really. Just the way he lunged in. Yeah, Newcastle player reaction's terrible. I don't like it, like you said, because why give the crowd the need to lift themselves to that? It's not even a challenge that's really necessary. This is what I find annoying. Same as I did with the Xhaka one, really, at Liverpool. But yeah, I thought we were largely in control for the first half. But there are a lot of instances with Bruno Guimaraes, and that is probably the most amazing saying after all of that from the goal, that the most disgraceful decision wasn't the goal. The most disgraceful decision was leaving Bruno Guimaraes on the pitch and not booking him until the 87th minute, I believe. And what's crazy with this one, Neil, a bit like the Kovacic one, is that in isolation, the Kovacic first foul is a red card anyway. But then when you combine it with all the others, it's actually just catastrophic, like shocking that this player is still on the pitch. And with Bruno Guimaraes, I mean, there's so many instances. I mean, there's the elbow on Jorginho, there's the push in the back on Jorginho, which is incredible. And now I've realised that it's a bit odd that Newcastle players, people like Lascelles and Joelinton and Bruno Guimaraes, have this ability to just almost believe they can get away with things. Certainly at St James's Park. Like, if you watch the lead up to Jorginho's elbow, there's a point where they're following Bruno Guimaraes around the pitch, and he is lost his head. He has lost his head completely. He goes in with a 2-footed lunge, misses the player in the ball, gets up, elbows Jorginho, forearms him in the head. That's a red card in itself, let's be honest. It doesn't get booked at all. They look at it within 5 seconds, apparently, and he doesn't get booked. Of course they do. But then he has like 2 or 3 more after that. He has the push in the back on Jorginho, which is ridiculous when you watch it again. It's just like, you can't do that, but you can with Atwell and, Saudi-owned refs. And then you have the one where he's basically, hand off rugby style to Fabio Vieira, which is another booking in itself. So you got a minimum of a couple of yellow cards and a red in there. I don't know how he stayed on the pitch, Neil, but it was one of those games, so I'm not surprised, I guess.
Now you've said it like that, I'm just laughing because it sounds so farcical and comical, doesn't it? It's a comedy show, really. Couldn't make it up. I don't know how it's happened. I don't know whether the ref was afraid to take off a Newcastle player at their ground and the uproar that would cause, given the fact that nothing was given for Havertz in the sense of a red. Don't know if it could be that, but it doesn't matter what it is. At the end of the day, you've got to do your job. You're paid to take care and take responsibility of 22 players on the pitch, and you weren't doing it. You were blatantly favouring one side only. Blatantly. How does he get away with one after the other? And then you told me before, I couldn't remember who it was, he even kicked that ball at Was it Havertz? Was it Havertz as well? He kicked the open ball.
Just smashed it into him because he thought he was going to get Havertz booked, but Havertz wasn't even looking at the ball, so it's just stupid.
I mean, I've got to say one thing about Havertz. You know, we can talk about what he's not doing on the pitch as a footballer, his silly challenge, but he did show restraint. To be fair, you know, he had like 7 or 8 Newcastle players go at him. And he kind of, at least he didn't retaliate, Jack, because he could have retaliated. You know, if that had been a Xhaka, could be one of our other ex-players, you know, could have had a retaliation, and then it could have been really ugly. We could have had sending offs. We could have had fines. There could have been a brawl. It could have led to all sorts of things. But at least he showed restraint, which is, just wanted to put it out there, which was good of him to do that. But my goodness me, I mean, the elbow one, the forearm elbow, whatever you want to call it, who was it that was saying, yeah, but it's not, he hasn't really used his arm as a weapon. I think it might be on Sky. I mean, it hasn't been used as a weapon. Sorry, haven't they got these new rules now that if you do something like that, it's deemed as violent conduct, right? Especially something to the face or the head, right? You don't need a knife or a weapon or a truncheon on the pitch to then get a red. What did he need to do? Kill the player to get sent off? It's a sending off, Jack. There is no two ways about it. It's the sending off. That on its own is bad enough. But he does the other push off the ball. Again, minimum booking, if not sending off, that one. Then you got what he does to Vieira. Okay, he got booked for that, but that was too little too late for me. As you said, the game was practically over. So it wasn't going to make any difference really to anything. And in fact, if you think about it, the Byrne, who'd done Saka twice, in theory were 2 yellow cards for me. So he should have been off as well.
Luckily he came off because he was injured, didn't he?
Yes.
Typical.
Letter of the law, they should have been down to 9 men. They should have been down at 9 men, Jack. But you've got that, you've got him kicking the ball, you've got another incident, I think, when he squared up. Yeah, it was actually, of course. After he kicked that ball, didn't Rice square up to him? And he grabbed Rice as well by the throat.
Yeah, they're a little shove each.
Yeah, and all right, that was probably a yellow card each, but that's another yellow card he could have got. I mean, how many are there? How many incidents are there?
Yeah, what's incredible? I mean, Bruno Guimaraes hates us. So he has this theory or something that we did. Because remember when he signed for Newcastle, he posted tons of stuff about links to Arsenal in his, which was very odd because there wasn't actually real proof that we were in for him at the time. So it was a bit odd, like he was believing media or stuff like that. But ever since then, every time he plays against us, he looks like he's well up for it. But in this game, it's just incredible because like people that lose, like Xhaka loses his head for a split second, and almost every time I've seen him do that, he's off. This guy lost his head for 65 minutes and he's still on the pitch, and which is he's just going around kicking people for fun, you know. And him and Jolinton, I mean, they're very physical, but they get away with a ton that I've not really seen it before, like the amount they get away with physically. Well, I have at Old Trafford a long time ago, but it's quite incredible what they can get away with. But we stood up to it, and Havertz was a part of that. He stood up to the physical test. I felt we were in control in the first half. I was just frustrated as we move on from VAR, which is very hard to do after this game, but frustrated by our lack of sort of potency in front of goal. I felt again, which has been sort of a discussion point all season to a certain degree. And whilst I'm frustrated with the likes of Havertz, I think there was players that were worse than them in this game. Saka being one of them. I thought Saka was really poor in this game. There was a point in about the 19th minute where Rice had an amazing run just before it, I think, and given the wrong ball, but he had an amazing run. He should have got it alone, really. I think Rice doesn't realise actually quite how much impact he's having on this team. He could have got it alone and had a shot. But there was a point where Saka had the ball and he acted like no one was near him. He acted like he was playing in the park or something. Took a nice leisurely touch inside and they knocked the ball out of play, and he was like, oh, someone was there. And I'm like, you're not switched on today, are you? Are you switched on? It's very odd from Bukayo Saka. Like, he's not hit the heights all season, really, and none of our attacking sort of four have, really, and they haven't played a lot of games together either, which might be a part of it. But our lack of creativity, Neil, I mean, 2 shots on target, 1 shot on target in this game. And it wasn't dissimilar to what we had at Chelsea for a long period of time before Rice shot from 36 yards. So this isn't like it's not been coming in the sense of our lack of creativity. Obviously, having Partey, Jesus, and then Odegaard out is a big blow, and it's difficult to handle. But whatever it is, that the combination of players, the way we're progressing the ball, it's not right. And in games with fine margins like this, the biggest frustration is that you allow a decision like this to govern the result of the game. Whereas I feel like if we were in certainly a certain period of last season, we would have gone 1-0 down and probably had the belief that we could come back into it and create a lot of chances, at least, even if we didn't come back into it. But you never really got that sense in this one. You didn't really get that sense at Chelsea until very late on, to be honest. And that's quite concerning, isn't it, Neil? Because we've not clicked at all in an attacking sense all season.
No, we haven't. The illegal goal aside, I thought defensively we didn't do bad, to be fair. It was a game of defence, if you think about it, for both. But do you remember when we were just chatting just before the game, and I was asking, now you said there's no Odegaard, and I'm like, what? Do you remember? And then I said, where's the creativity coming from today? And nothing. And it didn't help. Look, let me just say, as well, as a football fan, I think Newcastle were on it all game. They had a game plan. As bad as Saka was, both him and Martinelli, their defenders done a good number on them. There was always two on them. So they were literally stifling everything that we potentially could have had as an attacking option out before it took place, because there's always two of their players on our two players all the time. Every single moment of the game, they were on it from the start right to the end, even right literally to the last kick of the game. So credit where credit's due. As a football fan, I thought Newcastle handled arguably, two of the most lethal wingers snuffed them out quite well. But that is a concern, because other teams now could watch that and think, right, this is how we can deal with these two players. So, again, we've got to address it. It is worrying, Jack. I have to say, I feel the same thing. I think last season we were potent. We were utterly potent. And you're right. We had that. There was a belief, wasn't there, that even if we went down, something that we'd lacked for years, as soon as we drop a goal, the heads drop, and then we just give it. It's almost like we just capitulate. Whereas last season we saw something very different. There was almost this eagerness, this hunger, and this desire, which I'm not seeing this season. And again, I go back to the point right at the top where he's trying to do too much, where there wasn't much broken with this team. If you look at how we played last season, we might become a little bit predictable like at the end of last season. That needed to be addressed. Of course, we lost Tomiyasu and Saliba, which didn't help matters either. But other than that, Jack, there wasn't a lot wrong with what we were doing and how we were playing. Of course, don't want to make excuses, but not having Partey, when he's on form, I think he's arguably one of the best midfielders, if not the best midfielder in the league, right? You got Jesus, which was just looking like the Jesus that started with us. And then he gets injured in that very same game that he has a blinder in. It's ridiculous. That, again, is not fair. You got Emil Smith-Rowe, who was got to start. He's back injured again. And it just goes on and on, doesn't it? The list just goes on and on. And I don't think that's helping. But that still doesn't excuse it. We've still got, arguably, on paper, enough people there, creativity-wise, to do something. And we gave nothing. One shot. And if it wasn't for Rice, if you think about it, if we didn't have Rice this season, we'd be nowhere near the top four. I feel that, because he has come in and done so much, not just producing goals, but everything else, even defensively, even breaking up their play, their interceptions, ball retrievals. He's been at the midst of all of it. And I think we could have been a lot worse. So thank God we've got him as kind of keeping us up there. If things don't change quickly, Jack, I'm now even struggling. You know me, what I'm like. I'm saying we're going to win the league. But after this performance, after the one with Chelsea, where we only turned it on again after Rice's intervention, and then after that, we were in control. We could have even won the game. But that's not good enough. 10 minutes of good play? After, if we played 50% of that, we would have beaten Chelsea, hands down. They're not very good, Jack, as far as I'm concerned. And you just feel there's something seriously not right. And it's really a shame because I remember last season, I think all 11 players were creating stuff for us. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean? It felt like we just had creativity all over the place. And now we've had, 3 or 4 games where we haven't done much attacking-wise. It's not, something's wrong.
See, I think this is the conundrum with like removing Zinchenko, which I've agreed with in the last few weeks. But the problem with that is you take out another player who's willing to progress the ball early, play passes between the lines, take risks. And whilst I think we're more defensively secure and in big games like this, I think it does work. I think it did work, to be honest. The result can mask what really happened in the game to a certain degree. Defensively, we really did shut them out, to be honest. As much as we didn't create the other end, defensively, we were really secure. Like you said, Saliba was fantastic. Gabriel was terrific, I thought. Thought White was a bit off. Very frustrated with him for the goal as well, to be like, I know we've talked a lot about VAR, but internally, Mikel should be laying into White and Raya, because I do not know why we've all stopped, even whether we believe it's out or not. Why have we stopped? And Joe Willock has had time to run all the way over to get that ball, stop it, turn, run about 20 yards, and then make a cross. And we've all just stood in the box.
And hurdle the flag as well.
Yeah. And I'm watching it going, why have we, when I was watching it back, I'm like, why have we stopped as a collective here? Why? No urgency, no energy to go out to him. He had a terrible week after his own goal against West Ham, and it's unlike him. But again, this is what happens with White, when I think he sometimes plays too many minutes almost. He looks a little bit lethargic at times, whereas before you don't really associate that with him. And then, like you said, with Raya, I thought Raya looked great all game, but he has this error in him all the time. He has, in every big game, he just dove under the ball. We're not even talking about VAR for 20 minutes like we did if Raya gets a hand to that at the very least. And it's not that crazy a cross. He should be reading that. And if you look at his starting position before Willock takes it, he's in front of the front post. What are you doing in front of the front post? He's going to shoot from out there? Like that doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I know the Mudryk incident, but you can't be doing that, So those two need to be laid into. But yeah, the creative part is really a big conundrum. I think Partey being out for this long, because usually he's out and then he's back, but he's literally been basically out since the first game of the season or first couple. Is a problem because he's our best progressive passer, I think, and fastest progressive passer. I think Odegaard not having him has hurt Odegaard as well, because I think most of his passes would always go that direction to Saka or to Odegaard, and I think it's affected that whole right side to a degrry. Because Saka hasn't looked himself.
Just you mentioned why that relationship, that great relationship you had with Saka, has not really been in existence this season, has it?
No,
they were
you don't see him getting near him, do you?
Yeah, White was doing those great effective overlaps as well, but when he was doing overlaps, he was there in the mix with Saka, and he was then part of maybe a triangle between him and maybe Odegaard. All of that's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got to find a way of getting it back. And the biggest thing I've said for the last sort of few weeks is, since the injuries have occurred, is I really don't feel he should be starting Eddie and Havertz together, because I think not that they're similar. I think they've got similarities off the ball that really bug me, or on the ball if you like, because I don't think they really are on the ball very much. They're low touch players, and I don't think they're probably the lowest technical quality players that we've got from what I've seen so far with Havertz. Eddie, I believe that at this point. I mean, a lot of running, a lot of pressing, good poaching in maybe inside the box at times, but on the ball, we can't carry two players like that, and I don't see how our attack can flow with two players like that in it. You to pick one to be at the 9 or the other. To be honest, I'd go as far to say, I know Havertz had maybe a little bit of a progressive moment in this game, but I don't think you can play him in midfield either if you really want to get this attack going again. Not at this stage. Maybe in the future it will work. Maybe it will. Maybe he'll learn it over time, coming off the bench, doing it there. But to start him in Premier League games of this magnitude, whilst I don't think he was anywhere near the worst thing, and this might have been one of his better games, but in terms of, he doesn't mimic what Odegaard does at all. You know, I thought Vieira was very poor when he came on from the bench, but he mimics what Odegaard does a lot more. Wants to be on the ball, create. You know, many have said, you know, play Zinchenko up there even, but you need more creativity on the ball up there. You can't have a midfield free of Jorginho, Havertz, and Rice. It doesn't work for creativity. I mean, goals win games, and I think we've lost that a little bit for defensive security. And whilst we definitely look defensively secure much more than we did towards the end of last season, we've lost a lot of what gave us 88 goals in the season. Somehow we've still scored about 23 this season, but obviously there's a fair amount of penalties in there, 6 I think. So we aren't creating anywhere near the amount we should be. We shouldn't be going into games like this, getting only one shot on target with the type of players we've got in that team. It's catastrophe really to do that. But just on a few other aspects of the game, Neil. I mean, there wasn't really big chances. Martinelli had one in the first half that he kind of flashed against Pope and he saved it. Rice had that run like we spoke about in the first half. After their goal, what I did find really interesting was we brought on Trossard, Vieira and Zinchenko, which I'm fine with. But they're all very, very short. And at that moment, we decided to make about 15 crosses in a row, which I just found really interesting. All our corners were direct as well. Do you remember Everton? Because Everton are like a basketball team too. We started to go short. That's how we scored with the Trossard goal, by going short. And we said we were trying different things. None of that this game. We weren't trying anything. We were just doing the same thing over and over again. It just felt we were very one-dimensional, and it was quite easy to defend against. You never really felt like we were going to score after the 1-0, did you?
No, I think that's spot on. You know, there's times where you know that you shouldn't be doing aerial stuff because the other team have sussed it out. They snuff out all the aerial attacks, and you're crying, keep the ball at feet, keep the ball on the floor, and just keep it to feet. And it is ridiculous because actually we've been lauding Arteta's substitutions of late. He's got them right, most of them. The majority of them. That's the one difference this season. There's obviously cons about this season, but I think one of them has been a pro has been his substitutions. I think a lot of them have scored goals as well when they've come on. They have made a positive impact. But no, I mean all those 3 substitutions. You think, wow, that is some bench we've got, and you're hoping that you can make something of it. But I think it was just one of those days, Jack. It was just a horrible, horrible day. They nullified us with their defensive abilities or tactics. We weren't offering anything. You mentioned the Martinelli. I think he chastised himself because he knew he's just kicked it at the goalkeeper. He should have done better. You had the Rice to run where I was thought, well, why did he just shoot? You'd literally done the whole thing. He'd run, 80% of the pitch, just have a shot. And he didn't, which was strange because we know he can score. Yeah, and there was a big opening for him there. Big space. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And then he had another chance, didn't he? The one we didn't mention was the header. Which just wide. So it was unlucky because of the distance. I was frustrated when I saw it, but it was quite far out. Yeah, but that was probably... those 3 were all we created, Jack. Yeah. That's shocking. That is shocking. If you look at the players we've got on paper, that's not good enough. I'm sorry to say. It doesn't matter how good their defence is. That's not good enough. No. But yeah, the substitutions for me had little or no impact. They really didn't. And I feel, and that is another concern for me. You know, when you got players that I feel should be getting a little bit more time, well, out of those 3, probably more for me, it's Trossard. And then you bring him on in a game like this, it's not going to really do anything. I'm not saying it's Arteta's fault, it's Trossard's fault. It's just unfortunate. But I think it was just one of those days. You just knew it. You know, when that goal was given, you just knew that this has got doom and gloom written all over it. And then you still have that git Bruno causing mayhem and getting away with it. I think it was just written. for us. And we all knew before we went up there that this was going to be a hard task. And the fact that we lost so badly to West Ham, I know it's the League Cup, it's different competition, but that didn't help. It really didn't. And I think you're right. I think Ben White has had a hangover from that incident, that own goal, that unfortunate. I mean, it was a bizarre own goal. I don't want to talk about that game, but it was a bizarre own goal. It's almost like he was an attacker trying to score. It was weird, wasn't it? It just didn't.
Misjudged the flight entirely.
I was laughing at my mum. I said, "Oh, mum, that's a good goal, isn't it?" She goes, "But he's in it for the wrong team." I said, "Yes, mum." But I think he had a hangover from there. You're absolutely right. It didn't make any sense. So he was, you're talking about bad. I thought Eddie was awful. I think if you look at the ratings that BBC Sport go and whatever they're worth, not they're worth much, but he's right at the bottom of the list, literally. I mean, Havertz is down there, Ray is down there, right at the bottom, and it's like terrible. And Eddie, it's such a shame. He did brilliantly against Sheffield United. Absolutely, what a completely different player almost. The opposite of what we saw against Newcastle. But that's the thing with him. I feel bad when I have a go at him and then he does something like that, what he did against Sheffield United. And then almost I feel vindicated again for having a go at him when I see a performance like this. We can't afford to have these bit part players, Jack. We need to get someone in that's going to be consistent. I know we've got goals all across the park. I know that. We scored 88 last season without an out-and-out striker. But I still feel we're missing that player. I still feel we're missing that really strong player that can come in and make a difference. If he's not going to start, come off the bench and do it. Especially in a game like this, it would have been so useful, where it's a game that's literally gone for us. But maybe an out-and-out strong striker could have created something. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it's an option. And I'm just thinking that Eddie just hasn't got it for me. Not consistently enough. Anyway, so, the substitutions were ineffective completely for me. And talking about Zinchenko very quickly, I think a midfield position is better for him because he can't do it defensively, Jack. He's not a defender. And actually now, if you think about it, we've got Tomiyasu in that position. We're not sure. We've also got Kiwior that can come in. We're not sure in there. And then when Timber's fit, we've got Timber as well. So potentially Zinchenko probably could get pushed further up the field because that's what he's better at doing. He just can't defend for me. Not effectively anyway.
No, and the problem with that is you've got to get Arteta to believe that physicality is not... I feel like physicality is so big for him in the middle of the park that's why his reluctance to play Zinchenko there is there. But when we don't have the attacking... We're so far off in terms of creative numbers. And with the injuries that we've got, the only sort of belief that I've got is at the moment you've got to find a way of getting the likes of Zinchenko and Trossard in the team because those are creative players. And if you're not going to trust in Fabio Vieira because you think he's too lightweight or inexperienced, then those are the players that you need to turn to. But yeah, in games like this, playing it. I felt a little bit safe in terms of, allowing ourselves to be a little bit more vulnerable going forward. Because I felt in the first half they were really there for the taking, to be honest. I really did. I mean, they had injuries too. We had injuries, but they had Isaac out and Tonali with his ban and one or two others out. Jacob Murphy came back on and dislocated his shoulder again by the looks of things. I don't know how he got cleared 10 days after his shoulder dislocation. That is incredible to me. But, I don't know, there's something going on there. But they had injuries too. And, they had to change one of their fullbacks. Dan Burn went off and Livramento handled Martinelli pretty well. I mean, he's very fast, that Livramento. I watched him against Man United in midweek. He's very, very fast. He's like a young Bellerin, but with muscle. And he's strong and fast, and he handled Martinelli really well. But we don't give Martinelli enough help. We almost say to him, here's the ball, mate, do it alone. Whereas Saka, he looks more isolated now and he's struggling with that. But before, it was all about creating patterns on the right and switching it over to the left. But Martinelli, we asked to do a lot on his own, and sometimes he needs a little bit of help around him. And it's not natural for Rice to get so close to him, I don't think. But Rice, Saliba were fantastic in this game. Those were our two players. Those are probably our two players of the season, to be honest. I mean, in terms of consistency, those are our two players. But Neil, what do we do? So, I mean, 1-0, we have to chalk it off. We have to chalk it off and just go, it's one of those games. Nothing's going to happen about it. We, the funny thing is, since the whole Liverpool doing things for the league thing, it's got worse in terms of, I mean, they at least used to apologise for the rubbish they gave to us. Now they just go, forget it. We can't keep apologising to Arsenal. So let's just forget it. We'll apologise after every 3 or 4. We'll just give them a sort of sorry for the recent problems sort of list, rather than giving the specific one. They'll go, because we'll have to do this. Don't send out the apology today because we'll have to do it again next week. So they just wait on it. They'll go, you should do a biannual one or something, which is incredible. So everyone that said to me, we're doing this for the league, for the integrity of the league, support what we're doing. I was like, nonsense. You're doing it for self-interest. That's exactly what you're doing it for. Just admit to it and it's all fine. We're doing it for the same reason, but we won't claim to be holier than now. And we're doing it for the whole league, which was nonsense. Which as soon as Klopp started asking for replays, I think they realised it was nonsense. But that was absolute nonsense. But yeah, like you said on Arteta, I completely agree with his comments. I like the way I love how he never blames individual players. He'll never ever blame. I've never seen him blame an individual player Wenger was always pretty good at that too, but he's never done it. And he's a strong manager, and he's trying to take a little bit of pressure. He was obviously livid, but he's trying to take a little bit of pressure away from the team as well, who are, have got a little bit to answer for after this week, to be honest, despite the decisions that have gone against them. Like you said, midweek, the real big thing for midweek was you felt our squad maybe is not as strong as we maybe originally thought it was. Who really stood out for you? Who told you they might start on Saturday? There was nobody, was it? It was like, we're going to have to go as is, and there was no real surprises other than the fact that Odegaard was out. But beyond that, the team basically picked itself, and that's frustrating at this point. Obviously, injuries have cost us a little bit there, but also players like Vieira, you could say like Ramsdale in that game, but players like Vieira, I thought Kyrgios was all right, like Nelson, but just not taking their chances, which is frustrating.
It's concerning because it actually took all our seniors literally coming on and getting that consolation goal, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's what bugged me. It was the fact that if say it was a 1-0 or 2-0, we could still have had something to play for in the game, but it still took the senior substitutions to come on to make it happen, and that's the thing that I thought, for goodness sake, we're relying on them again. I think if you compare Arteta and Eddie this week, he got it right. He's had to deal with injuries like us. He made changes for the Carabao Cup like us, but he got it right. He beat Man U and he beat us, all right, a legal goal or not. End of the day, the history is going to show a win. Yeah. I just, it is a bit concerning because, there were times when I said at the beginning of the season, look at our bench, lads. Wow, look who we can bring on.
How quick it changes.
And then the Carabao Cup, you're thinking, right, doesn't matter who we field. We've got to surely, all right, we always know West Ham's going to be tough. West Ham is not an easy game. They're always going to be up for it against us. But I thought we had enough, Jack. I thought we had enough to beat them. And I think that has hurt us. Look, I'm not so... Obviously, I want to win every competition. Always do. Always go on about the quad, of course. But it's not, for me, still the priority. I know you might be surprised me hearing this. Still, for me, the priority is the Prem, although we're in the Champions League. I'd love to go far in the Champions League, but the priority is the Prem all day long. So the fact that we're out of the competition isn't a hurtful thing. What's hurtful is arguably we've got a good squad and we get thumped by West Ham. It wasn't even we got well and truly beaten, our hinds handed to us. And that's the concern. And now you're thinking, you're right, is our squad as strong as at first it appeared to be? I'm not so sure. And then, these injuries to our fringe players like Emile Smith-Rowe does not help. And the fact that they're not even telling us anything about it is also frustrating.
It's not a good sign.
Saying they're out. No. So we don't even know.
It's not.
Yeah. And it doesn't bode well for me. I think Ramsdale and Smith-Rowe, I think they're time is coming to an end.
The problem is, Neil, where you're going to... I mean, if Ramsdale keeps putting in performances like that, and Smith Rowe is never fit, you're not getting any money from him. You're not going to get any money from him. So we're going to be left with a Kieran Tierney situation, which isn't going to make us move in January anyway, which we need to be able to move. Sellable assets for Arsenal Football Club are they're just like Halley's Comet comes along more often than that for some reason, even though we've got a ton of flipping really good players, but we seem to, the levels and their prices seem to drop. I mean, Ramsdale suddenly quickly becomes, he was the most valuable goalkeeper in the world about 3 months ago, and suddenly we won't be able to get a fee for him come January. You wait and see. So that's just, it's typical of Arsenal, right? It's incredible. I saw Matt Turner the other day, got dropped for Nottingham Forest yesterday because he ran out of his goal to the halfway line against Liverpool last week. Someone showed me a clip of it. I was like, oh my goodness. No wonder we can't get a fee for old Flipper over there. So it's just... Yeah, it's frustrating, but you can't rely on these players. Like, if you would have a bet, Neil, we've got 3 players injured in November. You would have said Partey, Jesus, Smith Rowe every day of the week. You would have said those 3 players. So when people say to me, well, we can't really plan for... we should have done. We should have planned for these injuries. And I think we did plan for the Partey one. We bought 100 million Rice. You can't say we didn't plan for it. He's a different type of player, though. But fantastic. More defensively secure, maybe not as good as a progressive passer, which is why our attack's lacking a little bit, but more our attack's lacking because the 8 is not fitting quite well. But then, some people have argued after that, have we really strengthened because of the Timber injury, etc.? And I think there's an argument there. Like, have we really got Raya in, Havertz in instead of Xhaka? That's not a strength. That's a drop off currently. So that's a worry and a frustration there. We have to move in January, but I don't know how we move in January because I believe we have to sell. But that's all to come. Now, what do we do this week? We've got obviously Sevilla on. It's a massive game on Wednesday. I mean, we have to try and win that game. We have to win that game, and then obviously a huge game before another international break against Burnley, I think, on Saturday, which is, again, another must-win. But what would you do? I mean, just before I get your predictions, what would you do? By the way, the one frustration I do have with Arteta is an Odegaard. You do not bring Martin Odegaard on against West Ham at 3-0 down to then get a reoccurrence of his injury, which we believe it is to be. That is negligent by Arteta, if that's true. I mean, there was absolutely no need to bring on a player that had any health risk at all. So if it's a new injury or something, maybe. But if it's a reoccurrence of this hip thing, which I suspect it probably is, otherwise it'd be a bit of a weird coincidence. But still, because he didn't look like he picked up anything during the game. So that's massively on Arteta. There was no need at all. We were already lost that game. So that was really stupid. But what do you do? I mean, what changes would you make in midweek we've got to be more fluid attacking wise. We don't have a lot. The feeling, Neil, really, I mean, the sensible thing in a way with Odegaard, if there is any risk, would be to keep him out and keep him home through the international break, wouldn't it? You want him to come back this week, but if he's not back, for Wednesday, you almost say, no, we're going to keep you out and we're going to keep you home. We're not having you going away with Norway, who can't even qualify somewhere where you're the captain and playing 95 minutes. And no. If you're going to be out for us for 2 weeks, you're going to stay home with us. We need to start doing that sort of stuff, don't we, really? Because we didn't do it with Partey. And then he got injured straight away after he came back after a national break without playing a game, didn't he, basically? So
I think it's a good call. I think if you're right spot on, it will hurt us because we probably need him, don't we, for the next couple of games?
Yeah, I know. That's the frustration.
But we know when you said that about him bringing him on, and that was really negligent or potentially negligent, reminds me of Timber. Now, we don't know if it was the same injury with Timber. Do you remember when he was looked off and then he brought him back on?
Yes. Oh, yeah, he tore it before that, for sure.
Correct.
That was shocking from our medical team, to be honest.
That's right.
Recognise that.
It's kind of a bit like that, but, what was the point of bringing Odegaard? We'd lost the game. What was he trying to do? He thought he'd come back from 3-0 with like 3 minutes to go. What was he thinking? That was stupid anyway. I know he didn't come on with 3 minutes to go, but you know what I mean? It just didn't make sense. Let the game go. It's done. We got it wrong. Didn't understand it. Jack, I'm at a loss of what we do. We have to win. We have to win our next game because that will make us comfortable, at least in the Champions League group stages. If we can get that win, we're pretty almost there, aren't we, to qualify?
Yeah.
And that's got to be our priority. But in terms of what do we do? I mean, gosh. Well, we know the keeper's going to stay the same. We know that the back four, I think we won't tinker with too much. Potentially, he might play Tomiyasu, actually. I might start with Tomiyasu.
I'd go Zinchenko in instead.
I know
of
you would.
I know
you would. I knew you were going to say that because obviously at the moment we're lacking creativity, especially if Odegaard is kept out of it. I mean, where are we going to? What are we going to have?
Exactly.
What are we going to have? There's no party to progress. We've got Rice, as you say. I think he's doing wonderful. I've got no qualms about or any criticism about Rice. I think he's been brilliant. I think you're right. I think him and Saliba. There was that one moment with Saliba where he was in real trouble.
Yeah,
with that
came out of it, didn't he?
But Jack, have you ever seen someone so calm in your life?
Yeah, amazing. I remember. I know exactly the moment you're talking about.
Oh my God! I mean, it
was fantastic. Well, he's
unbelievable.
He's world class.
I think you're spot on. Him and Rice have been our players of the season so far,
without question,
without a doubt. They are. Saka has been awful. I'm not. You know, I don't care if people have a go at us. We've always said we say it as we see it. Saka is awful at the moment.
Yeah,
it's just,
brothers moaning about him every 5 minutes on the text. But he was moaning about him last year when he was scoring every game. So it doesn't.
You can't listen to what John says. But
no. Do you know what? I'll say something controversial on Saka a little bit because we've never bought the replacement for him. We tried to sign Rafinha like 18 months ago, and then we never went and got that player, which is really odd to me. Everyone was like, "Why are we trying to sign?" A right winger for 65 million in Rafinha. Everyone was shocked by it. And now you see it. Now you see why we were, because we were trying to get him some support, but also get him some competition. But I don't think the right side is functioning at all. And I think Saka is a terrific player. Obviously, he's a bad run of form, but I still think he's a terrific player. But if Odegaard's not near him, I would just move him centrally. I'd just move him into the left 8, or not the 10. I'd move him into the left 8 and let him run with the ball, because he's played there before for us. If you remember, in Arteta's early days,
and well as well,
and very well, And that left 8 position, let's face it, you haven't. Even when we're fully fit, you haven't got a clue who's going to start there. Is it Rice? Is it Havertz? Is it Vieira? Is it? So if Saka's not functioning on the right because Odegaard's not playing, just move him centrally. We can't have a player like Saka being isolated, because all we're doing at the moment is getting Saka the ball and people just going through the back of him. So what's our biggest open space player? Just get him over to the left 8 for a little while, at least till Odegaard and White and everything comes back and everyone's fit again and we're clicking back into form. Just I wouldn't, in midweek, I wouldn't even say, the problem is then who do you play out on the right? But what I've noticed that's the problem. That's why we don't really have it. I don't know why he signed Nelson up. That was pointless, wasn't it? That was absolutely pointless.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. But I would personally find a way of getting Zinchenko and Trossard in the team even if you place Trossard centrally or something.
I was going to suggest that. Yeah.
We should hope to dominate the ball in the next 2 games. Hopefully, Sevilla are a dangerous team, but we should be aiming to do that. And those are high technical players.
Jack, be honest with yourself. Can you see him dropping Eddie? I can't.
Nah. Not so. Well, certainly not for the Burnley game. I think he'll play him because of what happened against Sheffield United and stuff like that. But for midweek, possibly it's hard to tell. He always makes sort of 2 or 3 rotations for midweek games. So if he's going to do that, I'd like to see the Trossard and the. And
do you think he might start Vieira and keep Havertz on the bench on the midweek game?
From the bench.
Put Havertz on the bench. And start Vieira. Or we got Jorginho, haven't we? Maybe Jorginho will start again. I don't know. I'm trying to think in the midfield. I can't work it out. Obviously, Rice is there without a doubt. He's guaranteed. Yeah. Who does he play midfield?
That's true. Yeah, I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't play Jorginho. Certainly not in both of the next 2. So he's got to decide which one he's going to play. Rice will obviously play both, but yeah, I would probably drop Jorginho and try and get an attacking, more dominant player on the ball, whether it is Vieira, someone like that. Yeah. So yeah, I would probably do that. I'd like to see Trossard come in somewhere on the front line, even if it's central. I'd actually put him centrally personally, but and then I'd probably bring Zinchenko back in. We've got to get more we've got to get more sort of output in the creative areas in the final third, and without Odegaard and Jesus and Partey, we've got to find another way. So he needs to do something in these few games, because if you look at our run after these next few games, it's similar types of teams. I mean, Brentford's a hard one away, but you've got games where you believe you're going to dominate the ball. So you've got to find that creativity now.
Yeah, great.
Really. So what do you think? What do you think the score for midweek and first score and score for Burnley? So I want to predict after two difficult defeats.
It's so hard, isn't it? Because you know, normally there's no problem, but you just don't know, number one, what the team's going to look like. But the fact that it's at home, isn't it? It's at home. Yeah, it's at home. Yeah.
Both at home. Yeah.
I think that hopefully that's come, but just at the right time before an internet. After the devastating week we've had, thankfully we've got 2 home games, so there's no travelling involved for the players. That's a good thing. So yeah, I mean, given it's at home, given the importance of winning this game, I'm still going to go for a win. I actually think it'll be 2-0, oddly enough. I don't know why. I'm going to go 2-0 because I think defensively we're pretty solid, Jack. So I think 2-0, and I will say, ironically enough, Saka. He needs a goal. I said it last time in the pod. So ironically, I'll say Saka 2-0. And if you want to go Burnley, I'll go Martinelli, and I'll go 3-0 Burnley.
Take that, mate. Take that. 2-0 Saka, 3-0. Okay. I'll go 2-1 Martinelli midweek, and then I'll go 3-1 against Burnley, and I'll say Eddie for that one. Yeah, I'll say Eddie because he's going to start him. He's going to start him, and we know how much he loves to score. Okay, you know, at home at least. Away, you must be joking. But Neil, it's been a tough week, but we've got this is the beauty of the difference in sort of last season or seasons in recent years when you came off a defeat like this. You often had to wait a whole week, sometimes longer, for the next game, and it was hard. So hopefully we can put things right on Wednesday night, and then because it is a massive game. It is a massive game, and this really, like you said, it almost would put us there, and your ability to be able to rest and get players back and rotate is there if you qualify, you know, with a game to spare or something like that. That can be really huge because you know the big teams are doing it. So we've got to try to do that, you know. And
I'm sorry to say this to everyone, but tonight I am a Chelsea fan for 100 minutes.
Got no chance, have they? No, they're dreadful.
Not the way
we got one. No, they're playing very good. They're playing very good again. But look at them. They've basically got one tournament all season, haven't they? They're out of domestic cups, basically FA Cup. But you know they're out of Europe. Same as Chelsea, but it's a huge advantage, especially if you've got a fully fit side. And they've started really, really well, and they're up there. But mate, as we know from last season, you do not win titles in November. You do not win anything in November. So we need to bounce back, and we need to bounce back quickly, don't we? So, Neil, we are at Purely Arsenal FP on Twitter, Purely Arsenal on YouTube. Subscribe to us there. Give us some comments. Thank you for the comments from everyone. I see Ray Anderson and Aldrin and lots of other people who I'm not going to forget commenting on there. So I appreciate the comments. I think Neil's better at responding than I am actually, but I try to pop on there and respond. We'll have to do a few live ones where we can comment as we go, but that would be good. That would be good. Hopefully after a win. But we'll be back next week after 2 wins this week. Fingers crossed. Neil, thanks so much. It's a tough one.
Thank you.
But cathartic in a way. So on to the next one, mate. We got to hope the team moves on quickly. Up the Arsenal. Come on, boys.
Cheers, buddy.